Hey guys, today we're going to be doing an aviary tour of our macaw mansion. We just recently completed a massive project. We not only raised the funds, but also completed construction on a massive macaw aviary that we house our 6 macaws in. The macaws have been settling in over the course of the last several months and are now doing fantastic. Everyone is getting along wonderfully and they're loving all the extra space they have, along with the new social dynamics, as they're able to physically interact with each other and not just see each other through wires. So without further ado, let's check it out. So here is an exterior view of the entire aviary. We actually started the structure off with a carport frame and then added wood trim to clean up the look. Making the structure itself out of this carport made the entire thing future-proof. If you know anything about macaws, you know they are incredible chewers. Anything they can get their mouths around, they will chew to pieces. Now luckily there's no amount of chewing these guys can do to chew through steel. But any sort of wood that we built the structure out of would be susceptible to chewing, and over the years we would have to replace it or replace the entire aviary. So making it out of this metal frame ensures that for years to come, this aviary will be standing strong. We've got our signage on the front for each of these birds that I absolutely love. This makes it so as guests are walking around, they're getting education about each of the birds that they see in here. Side note, this video is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, but I am going to be linking a lot of the products that we used in the comments below. That way, if you want to use any of this material or any of these ideas for your aviary at home, you have the ability to do so. Now let's go inside and check it out. We've got this thing locked down like Fort Knox because the last thing we need is any macaws getting loose. Unfortunately, with the weather changes, our boards have warped a little bit and not everything is closing as smoothly as it did initially. But we've just got to do a little bit of sanding and this will be back to normal. First, I want you to meet the bird. So let's go over introductions. This guy is Fuego. He is an absolute sweetheart to me at least. And Celeste over here is actually his girlfriend. So the only time he's ever actually shown any attitude to me is when I've gone over and tried to pick up Celeste. And he's like, yo man, that's my girlfriend that you're trying to hang out with right now. Celeste, Fuego, and finally Sage up there all came to us from the same home. A lot of studies are coming out now that showcase just how sensitive people can be to the dander that a lot of these birds excrete, which is something that's really important to get checked out before you make the commitment of getting one of these birds. Now, the lady who had all 3 of these guys had essentially been told by her doctor, it's you or the birds, but one of them's gotta go. Now, let me pause because I'm about to get my feet attacked. These 2 troublemakers down here are Miko and Rika, aka Bonnie and Clyde. These 2 are the biggest troublemakers in here, but thankfully they don't really mess with any of the other birds. They just try to go after people that are in here. These 2 are incredibly bonded to each other, which is awesome because that's what happens in the wild. They're monogamous, so they, oh, Miko, can you not go for my shoe, man? Can you not go for my shoe? Come on, dude. That was really just out of pocket, okay? In the wild, they mate for life. They find one bird, that they will eat with, sleep with, mate with. Oh! And this right here is my #1 form of defense when it comes to keeping these birds at bay. Luckily, they're not scared of me at all, but they are incredibly afraid of the water hose. So I just keep this running in front of my feet whenever they're being troublemakers and trying to attack them. But that's Miko and Rika down there. Buddy, come on now.
I thought.
You're not a fan of the water, huh? Miko came from a case of animal abuse where he was being incredibly neglected. And Rika over there on the left came from a divorce situation. Usually it's people fighting over, no, I want the dog, no, I want the dog, whenever they're getting divorced. With the birds, it was, no, you get the bird because I don't want it. No, you take the bird because I don't want it. And they went back and forth until eventually they just found our sanctuary and ended up surrendering. Now we've got one more bird in here that has a pretty special story. This girl up top is Joplin. Joplin's previous owner had her for 21 years. Now, like I mentioned before, these birds in the wild, they're monogamous. So they mate for life. They find another bird and they're bonded to that bird for the rest of their life. In captivity, what happens is these birds bond to one person and that person acts as their bird or as their mate. Well, unfortunately, macaws are rehomed at an exponential rate for a number of reasons. Just the handful that they are to take care of, their aggressive tendencies to a lot of people, their really loud noises, and just the incredible commitment that they are because they live for upwards of 70 years. Now, the reason I say Joplin has such a sad story is because her owner had her for such a long time. Joplin was incredibly bonded to this lady. Now, on occasion, her previous owner will come out and visit her, and Joplin's entire demeanor changes. Her eyes light up, she starts bopping her head, flapping her wings, acting like a totally different bird, because that person is her quote-unquote mate. Now, our goal is that we're hoping Joplin will find a mate inside the aviary and find that bird to meet her social needs. Because at the end of the day, there's no person that can spend 24/7 with these birds like another bird would in the wild. As much as I would love to hang out with you, I have 150 other animals I gotta take care of, and I can't spend 24/7 with these guys. But we're just about done with introductions. The final bird we have to introduce is our red and gold pheasants down there on the very end. These guys essentially act as a cleanup crew, and all the seed that the big birds spill, they go around and cleaning. That right there is absolutely amazing to see. Miko and Rika grooming each other. That's exactly what they would do in the wild with their mates. So seeing that they're achieving that here in captivity is like a dream come true. They are so cute when they're not trying to bite my feet off. Anyways, we're actually working on moving 3 call ducks down here in the future, and they'll help out the pheasants in regards to cleaning up all the food that the macaws spill, because they do spill quite a bit. The male has all the bright red colors, and that's his girlfriend over there, the more beige looking one. Look at this feather that Fuego dropped. That would make for like one heck of a pen. That is insane. All right, now let's get back to talking about the aviary itself. We're lucky enough to live on 66 acres of hardwood forest, so we harvested a bunch of branches and limbs from around our property. This saved us so much money from having to go out and actually buy perches to fill in the space. We tried to leave this mulberry tree in the very center of the enclosure. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna die off pretty soon because it's not getting enough light, and the trunk is entirely surrounded by water whenever we turn the misters on. We also use a super thick rope for all the macaws to climb on and make their way around the enclosure. We've got a pond on the bottom that the birds can use for bathing in. Now, one key factor to being able to successfully cohabitate all 6 of these macaws, it's obviously space, but then also an excess of perches. We never want one bird to be stuck on a perch where it can't get away if a bird comes from the other direction. Let me explain that a little bit better. If a bird is sitting right here that's getting bullied for some reason, and say Miko comes running from over here trying to bully this bird, the bird can go up and get on this perch, the bird can go down and get on this perch. Miko, I was just talking about you. I didn't mean to jinx it, man. That was not an invitation for you to attack me, okay? Or the bird can go down right here. Essentially, there's multiple avenues of escape if for whatever reason a bird starts getting bullied. Now, for the substrate inside this enclosure, we've utilized mulch. We're actually in the process right now of refreshing a lot of the mulch, so you can see where we ran out. We've also got a bunch of plants in here, everything from hibiscus to cast irons to ferns, English ivy, and more. For our feeding setup, we have these milk crates screwed in all along the walls. We have 4 on this side of the enclosure and 2 more down there. And essentially what we do is put 1 ceramic bowl inside with all the birds' food for the day. And that equates to 1 bowl per bird. It means there's 0 competition for food because each bird has their own respective bowl, and they're not trying to fight over Brazil nuts or bananas or any other potential treat they might have. For all their waters, we have these hook-on troughs, and we unhook this carabiner, drop it down, and it drains all the water on the ground every single day. Then we just top it back off, and the birds have fresh water. Easy and simple. You can see we've got the 2 other food bowls down there along with their water trough, because same thing, we're just wanting to minimize the amount of competition these birds have for everything from space to food to water. Okay, now I'm gonna show you guys one of my favorite things about this aviary. We gotta step back out. Mika, Rika, don't follow us. So on the outside of the aviary, we have this Y splitter. And this valve goes through the hose that's on the floor that you saw me just using. Keep Miko and Rika at bay. Bagheera, are you saying hi today? What's up, baby girl? And this valve actually leads to a misting system that turns the whole aviary into a rainforest. Let me show you. Apologies for interrupting your cute animal content, but I hope you'll forgive me once you hear that you can actually meet and stay with the very same cute animals that you're watching right now. That's right, you can stay at our Airbnb on the farm and animal sanctuary. Not only will you be provided with luxury amenities like a hot tub, fancy schmancy coffee, a bidet if you're feeling brave, and remote control everything, but you'll also get to hang out with the 150 plus animals that call Goat Daddy's home, including Abu the camel, Norris the cow, Piper the Quadamundi, the crazy macaws, obviously the goats, and every single animal in between. Check the description to book your stay today. Now back to the video. And just like that, misters have cut on for the entirety of the aviary. You guys are blocking my entrance right now, so I can't even walk in. Can we come down here a little bit, please? We've also got lights lining the outside of this aviary so that at nighttime, we still have enough ambient light to see, but not too much light to mess up the bird's sleep cycle. Mika, Rika, can y'all come down here? Thank you, birdies. Now I'm gonna run back to the door before you guys. Actually, why don't y'all climb the wire a little bit? That'll slow y'all down. All right, good job. Up a little bit more, Rika. Rika, come on, baby girl. Rika, you're showing off that wingspan, but you don't want to climb, huh? There we go. There we go. Good job, guys. Now I'm gonna be right back. Blah. All right, I made it in without letting any birds out. Now I can actually show you guys the misting system. We've got all of those misters lining the top of the enclosure. That makes it a whole lot easier for these birds to bathe if they want to, and helps with the humidity so it's easier for them to molt. Also, with the extreme South Carolina heat that we get, this helps cool the entire aviary down so the birds aren't getting too hot inside here. And a few more things that I wanted to mention while we're in here. For any wood surfaces that we do have in here that are exposed to the birds, we put this metal trim lining the top, that way it's not easy for them to chew on it. In theory, if they wanted to, they could still sit on the wire down here and chew upwards, but with all the branches in here, the birds are not inclined to do that. We also found this absolutely amazing hardware cloth. That's a super thick gauge, but it's only 2" by 2" openings. That way, if we ever decide to put in any other parrot species in here in the future, we're not limited to something that's massive as a macaw. This stuff is super thick. It's like one step away from being just as thick as a cattle panel, which I absolutely love, because when you're talking about birds with super strong beaks, you don't want anything that they can easily bend. And guys, that officially concludes the tour / update of the aviary. Feel free to comment down below if you have any questions about the build, how we were able to cohabitate these birds, what their diet looks like, how often we have to replace perches, or any other questions. And also, I just want to say thank you to each and every person who donated. We really couldn't have done this without you. We weren't expecting to see the success that we did, the amount of donations that came through, and just the overall support. So thank you guys so much for allowing us to provide such an amazing life for these birds. And with that, we'll go to you later. And for all of you nerds still sticking around, I'm sure you're probably really into this, so I'm gonna show you guys a few of the extra plants we have out here, just in case anyone's curious. These are all pineapple guava trees lining the front of this enclosure, so eventually they'll grow up and provide much more shade for the birds. Not to mention, they'll produce an absolutely delectable fruit that we can introduce into the macaw's diet. But we've got 8 of these lining the front, and on this side over here, we've got 1, 2 butterfly bushes, which I absolutely love. These things draw on so many butterflies. Here in South Carolina, they're evergreen and look absolutely gorgeous. Well, this one kind of looks gorgeous. It's not taking the transplant too well. And a Japanese maple that will essentially have this entire side covered. And along the front, we have a bunch of Iliagnus, which grow incredibly fast. These things will absolutely skyrocket, but since there's only 4 of them, it'll be really easy for us to trim them and kind of keep them managed. Okay, but for real this time, we'll see you in the next video. Go to you later.